lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you.
My name is Amanda Baershow Palacios. I'm very honored to be here. I'm a 38-year-old Rosebud Lakota woman. I would like to ask you to excuse me as I read my story to you, as this is very hard for me to tell. I lost 4 children to the state of Iowa. My oldest daughter resides with her father. At an early stage in my life, I made a regretful decision by using drugs. I was vulnerable and a single mother of 4 without proper guidance. I was lost. I was in a great need of help at this time in my life. But instead of getting help, I was punished by the state of Iowa. Automatically branded a terrible, horrible mother. They said for the best interest of my children, they had to remove them from my custody. I love my children, and they had no right to judge me without knowing me. I became active with our native traditional ways, and with the help of a medicine man, my family, and the love of my children, I recovered from substance abuse, and I have been in sobriety ever since. But this was not done in the time of the Woodbury County courts allowed. I was in treatment when my visits with my children were stopped. My worker in the county attorney had started the termination of my parental rights proceedings. Up to this point, I had never met my worker in person. I did not receive any supportive services from my worker at all. My mother had a home study done by the Santee Sioux Nation ICWA worker, and she was approved to take my children. However, my worker had a non-Indian agency do another one, and placement with my mother was denied. When the courts finally allowed the tribe to intervene, they denied the ICWA specialist's right to testify because she had car trouble and arrived late during the proceedings. Although I had successfully completed treatment and was living a healthy, drug-free life, my parental rights were terminated. I immediately appealed the court action, but I lost. I knew there was going to be an attempt to take my unborn child. My husband and I took positive Indian parenting classes. We enlisted the support and involvement from Connie Bear King and Frank Lemire. We were right. When our baby was born, we were forced to take voluntary service from DHS. Attempts were made to set us up for a failure, but with all our support, they were forced to close our case. Since the termination of my parental rights, I have continued to stay actively involved with SYNC and ROC to help fight the injustice that our Native children and families face. A year and a half ago, my oldest son Jacob called me saying he and his brother Josh were back in foster care, and the adoptive parents severely abused them and my daughter Amelia. The adoptive parents' rights were terminated. I was allowed to adopt Jacob, but Josh was adopted out again to a non-Indian family in Des Moines, Iowa. Amelia was placed in foster care a few years ago and never heard from until February 13th of 2004. Her caseworker called me and told me Amelia's dad remembers her mother and always wanted to come home. Now I am making arrangements for my daughter's homecoming. I assume she will come home with all the same damage that Jacob is still going through. I know that this healing process may take a very long time, but I know in my heart we will make it with lots of support from my family and friends. Now we intend to make contact with my other daughter, at least through sibling contacts. Thank you for your time and listening to my story. I hope it will help all of you when you make your decisions involving Native children.